So this morning I was going through my channel, just scrolling through old videos, going down memory lane, watch some of my first videos I ever made. I don't know how people used to watch me back then, not gonna lie guys. I was watching this one video that I made, probably like my fourth video ever, and I sounded like I was 8 years old. I was like,
Hey guys, it's Austin here, or Luna. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day so far.
shut the fuck up. But no, I was watching old videos and I was going through like just old stories and trying to figure out what I told and haven't told, And there's this one video / story in specific that I thought I told forever ago, but upon researching, I haven't. And it's literally one of my favorite stories to tell, like to anyone in real life, and they always love it. So I thought, why not talk to you guys about it today? And it's definitely, it's reminiscent of like the older videos on this channel, minus my squeaky voice. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this. Leave a like on the video if you do. Also, if you haven't, check out my new song, Backseat. I'll put it first link in the description. Let me know what you think. But yeah, let's jump into today's story. Today's story time all takes place back in 2015. That I wasn't the best behaved teenager. I was definitely, into some pretty mischievous things with my friends, such as smoking weed, and I would skip school and wouldn't have the best grades, and I wasn't the best, most, well-behaved teenager, right? We all know that. Now, this all starts off like a normal day back then. I woke up, got ready for school, went to school. School itself really isn't the main focus of this story time. Honestly, not much happened there. It's after school where this story time really starts. So I get home from school, right? And I'm in my room playing some COD with some friends on Xbox. That was my plan for the rest of the day, just play some Call of Duty. And I was in an Xbox party with 3 of my IRL friends, 3 friends that went to my school. And one of them, we'll just call him Jacob, okay? Jacob's like, yo, Austin, I just got something like 5 minutes ago and you have to see it like now. Now, Jacob lived pretty close to my house, so I was like, all right, come over. He's like, all right, bro, bet. Like, when? I was like, whenever you want, man. I'm home all day. He's like, is your mom home? I was like, no. He's like, your dad? I'm like, no, my dad doesn't live with me. He lives in an apartment, so no, he's not here. He's like, what about your older brothers? Are they there? I'm like, yeah, 2 of them are, but they won't care if you come over. Why are you asking all these questions? He's like, cuz, like, the thing I want to show you, your parents wouldn't like very much. I'm like, what the hell? What are you about to bring to my house? He's like, no, it's a good thing. I promise. It's good. I'm like, all right, well, my mom's not home till 9 p.m. She works late today. So if you want to pull up, just pull up anytime before 9. He goes, all right, can I come over now? I was like, sure, bro. So Jacob leaves the party, tells me he's on his way, and I'm just sitting there at my desk waiting for him to pull up. Now, about 15, 20 minutes later, Jacob pulls up in my driveway on his bike. I go outside. I meet him out there. He has his backpack on. He's like, all right, where can I show you this shit? I was like, just right here. He's like, nah, man, I can't be outside. Let's go in your backyard or something. I'm like, okay, that's still outside, but all right. He's like, you know what I mean? Like, it can't be like seen by people. I'm like, okay, whatever the fuck this is. So we go in the backyard, right? And we go into my shed, my little like outdoor shed. I close the door behind us. I turn the little light on in there. He proceeds to unzip his backpack and he pulls out this like really, really like brand new, beautiful looking bubbler. It had this like beautiful color all over it. Just this brand new bubbler to smoke weed out of. And I was like, what the fuck? Where'd you get that from? He's like, bro, my older brother got it for me, like as a gift. And I was like, oh man, that's so cool looking. Very beautiful piece. He goes, yeah, man. He's like, well, that's actually why I'm here. So I don't need my bong anymore because I have this now. So I'm also here to give you something. And he reaches into his bag and he gives me his old bong, which was like a very nice, pretty hefty sized bong. And he barely used it. He only had it for a couple months. So like this thing still looked pretty damn new. And I remember I saw it and I was like, yo, Jacob, like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, bro, it's yours. Like, you're one of my best friends. I don't need this anymore. I got this bubbler now. Like, fuck it. I was like, bro, I appreciate that. Like, you could have kept both. You didn't have to give me one. He's like, nah, man. Like, you don't have anything to smoke out of. You're out here smoking out of plastic and shit. Like, don't want that. Here. And he gives it to me. And I was like, dude, thank you. And I like gave him a hug and I was like fucking so stoked. Because at the time, he wasn't kidding. I was literally smoking out of like homemade bongs that I made out of plastic and like Monster cans and shit, which is horrible to do. So bad for you. So yeah, he did me the favor of giving me his old bong. And immediately I was like, yo, I want to smoke out of this thing. So I went inside and I grabbed like the tiniest bit of weed that I had left and we smoked together. Didn't really do much because it was barely any, but still got to, break it in with him. It was cool. Also took a couple hits out of his new bubbler. That was sweet. Anyway, after this, Jacob went home and I took my new bong inside. I quickly went into my room, closed the door. And I started to think, I was like, okay, this thing is kind of big. Like, this isn't just some little thing I can just keep in my closet or keep like under my bed. It's big enough to where like, I'm gonna have to find somewhere to hide it and have it be discreet. So I start trying to brainstorm, right? I'm thinking. And my first idea was like, okay, I could keep it in my garage, but that's where my mom keeps her car. So like, she'd probably find it eventually. And then I was like, okay, I could keep it in the shed out back where I was just smoking with it. I could keep it out there. But I was like, no, what if someone goes to mow the lawn and they find it? So I'm like really out of ideas, right? I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what do I do? And in my room, the way my room was set up, I had my bed, I had my desk, and then I had this really like pretty big recliner chair that my mom was going to throw out, and I wanted to keep it. So I put it in my room. So it was a pretty big recliner, right? And I thought, I have an idea. So what I did was I took a knife and I hollowed out the entire bottom of the recliner chair, and I was able to put the bong on the floor of my room and then put the recliner chair on top of it. So essentially I placed this big bong in the recliner chair, and you couldn't see it, couldn't like hear it or anything. Obviously, I'm sure if you sat in the chair and like really rocked it back and forth, you might knock it over, but like no one was doing that except me. So yeah. But yeah, I was able to hide this bong in the chair, and I thought it was genius. I'm like, dude, it's in the chair. It's a heavy chair. No one's moving it but me. Like, this is good. This works. This works really well. And for months, it did. My mom never found it. My parents never found it. My brothers didn't find it. I had it there. Anytime I needed it, I would just, get it out. I'd use it. I'd put it back. I'd keep it wrapped in like plastic so it didn't smell very much. It was perfect. Everything about this worked perfectly, so I thought. I thought my whole plan was like completely foolproof. Nothing could go wrong, right? Well, one morning, like any other normal day, I wake up at like 7 a.m. and I go to school. I get there. I do my school day. I get school over with. I go back home. Now, as soon as I got home, I was like, yo, I'm stressed out. I want to smoke a little bit. So I got my bong out. My mom was at work. I went in the backyard, smoked a bowl, went back inside, and I was just playing Xbox, right? Now, I lost track of time. And before I knew it, my mom was coming home from work, and my bong was still not put away. And I only had like 5 minutes before she was going to be home. So I didn't have enough time to do what I would usually do, which would be empty out the water, wrap it in plastic, put it under the chair, right? So what I did was I just literally put it on the ground, the bong, and I put the chair over it. I didn't empty out the water. I didn't wrap it in plastic. So it still kind of smelled a little bit. But luckily the chair kind of like contained enough of the smell for like just anyone in my room usually. So I thought I'd be fine, right? And for the most part, I was. My mom came home. She came in my room. She's like, hey, I'm home. Like, do you want anything to eat? And I was like, no, I'm good. I'm going to go to bed soon. She goes, okay. And she walked out. And I thought, okay, like, I'm good. She didn't catch me. Like, tomorrow at some point, I'll dump the water out. I'll wrap it in plastic. I'll store it more properly. But for now, this works. So the next morning rolls around, right? I go to school, have a pretty normal school day, right? Thought things were fine. And then I got back from school. Now, as soon as my bus pulls up to my house, right? And I get up off the school bus and I step down the stairs, I notice something. My garage door is open at my house. Usually it wasn't. Usually it was closed and my mom's car was, gone. But my garage door was open. And there was something in the garage that I did not expect to be in the garage. It was my recliner chair. And I was like, oh, fuck. And I run up to the chair and I look underneath it. The bong is not there. The bong is gone. And I was like, oh, shit. And I went into my room and it's not in there either. The bong's not in there. So I'm like, oh, no. Oh, shit. And I remember I was sitting in my room, like just kind of losing my mind. And my brother comes in and he's like, yeah, dude, I was going to text you, but mom came home for lunch today and she was cleaning your room and she went to move your chair and your bong fell over and spilled. And she lifted up your chair and saw that there was a bong underneath. And yeah, I was going to try and like cover for you and take the blame, but I didn't want to get in trouble. And I was like, oh, fuck, dude. He's like, yeah, man, sorry, but it's probably not going to be good. I'm like, yeah, I know. And a few hours later, my mom comes home from work, right? And the first thing she says when she gets home, she goes, Austin, come on in the kitchen, please. And I go out there with her. And she was like, you know why you're out here? I was like, yeah. She goes, yeah, I know you do. What the fuck were you hiding in your room? I was like, it was a bong. And she goes, yeah, I know it was a bong. Why did you have that? Why did you cut out the inside of your chair? That was a nice chair. And I was like, to hide it? She's like, yeah, I know. What the fuck were you thinking? And I was like, I don't know. I wasn't thinking. She was like, clearly not. And she's like, Austin, how many times do we have to go through this? No matter how many times you try and hide something from me or keep a secret, I'm going to find out. You know this by now. I always find out. You can't hide anything from me. And I ain't gonna lie, guys, that shit was the whole truth. She always found some way to figure it out. Always found some way to catch me. Anyway, she ends up calling my dad, and my dad came over. And my dad's like the chillest man on earth. I've talked about it in like every video about him. He's very chill. he came over and he was just like, oh, like, don't do that again. Like, you shouldn't be doing that. Come on. Like, you're going to get yourself in trouble. And he was just, being really nice about it. Meanwhile, my mom was just pissed as hell. And eventually, after talking to them for like 25, 30 minutes about it, it was finally time for me to like hear the punishment I was going to get. And my mom thought it was a good idea to like punish me by making me stay with my dad for 2 weeks. When in reality, like that was not a punishment at all. Like I said, chillest dude on earth. I literally, if anything, it felt like I was on vacation rather than grounded. I still got to play Xbox and make my videos and do my thing. So I literally didn't really get in any trouble for this at all. But that's not where the story ends. So I remember like the day after I went to my dad's house and I was there for a little bit, I called my friend up. I called Jacob and I was like, yo, dude, like my mom found your bong that you gave me. And she threw the chair out that I had it hiding under. And I don't know what she did with the bong, but it's gone. He's like, oh, fuck, man, I'm sorry. Like, I feel so bad. And I was like, bro, it's not your fault. Like, it's mine. He's like, yeah, I know, but like you barely got to use the thing. You only had it for like, I don't know, a few months. And I was like, yeah, I got some time with it, though. It was great. I really appreciate you giving that to me. Like, I'm sorry I lost it. He's like, nah, man, all good. And yeah, we talked about that for a little bit. And after like, I don't know, 20 minutes of talking to him, we hang up. And I thought that was it, right? I thought, okay, that's the end of that. I got caught. My bong's gone. I got sent to my dad's for a couple weeks. Story over, right? That's it, right? So you think. Well, no. This story time actually has a very, very funny conclusion. So fast forward 5 years later, dude. Literally at this point, it's a pandemic. It's during COVID. I am now a grown man. I'm not a teenager anymore. I'm not in school. My YouTube career has been thriving for years. I live on my own. I had my own house at this point. I was literally like a completely different person now, right? And this story had long been over. Well, one day, my mom invites me over to hang out, right? She's like, hey, like, come over. I have mail for you to pick up. Want to say hi. So I go over to her house to grab my mail and like say hi to her. My childhood home, by the way, the one that I grew up in and the one that, all these stories take place in. And I walk into the kitchen. I didn't even knock or anything. I just opened the door and I walk into the kitchen because, still, my house, right? I can just go in. And I walk in and there's a fucking bong in the kitchen on the table. Guess what bong it is? The bong that I lost 5 years ago, the one that got taken from me by her. And I was like, that's the fucking bong. And my mom came out in the kitchen. She goes, oh, you're here. What's up? I was like, Mom, that's my bong that you took 5 years ago, right? She goes, oh, yeah, you recognize that? I'm like, why do you still have that? And she goes, oh, I've been smoking recently. I'm like, you kept it all these years? She goes, yeah, it's a nice bong. I'm not throwing it out. I'm like, you kept it all these fucking years? She's like, yes. Why is that so hard to believe? I was like, because you literally lectured me like I was like a criminal or something. She goes, no, I lectured you because you were a teenager and I don't want my teenage son smoking marijuana, but like now you're older and you can make your own decisions, so I wouldn't care now. And I was like, oh, okay, well, fair point. But like, wait, how long have you been smoking for? She's like, I don't know, like a year. I was like, and this is your first time using that bong for it? She goes, no, I've been using it for years. Like pretty much right after I took it from you, I smoked it. I was like, wait, so you've been on and off smoking weed for the last 5 years? She's like, yeah. I was like, dude, no way. She's like, yeah. I was like, what the? I felt like I was in like a parallel universe where I just caught my mom smoking instead of her catching me. It was so crazy to me because I had like barely ever experienced anything like this in my life. So I was like, okay, well, this is news to me. And she goes, do you want your bong back? I'm like, no, you can keep it. Clearly you need it more than I do now, which was true. At this time, I wasn't even smoking. So like, she literally needed it more than me. And after I talked to my mom about this for like, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes, I FaceTimed Jacob and he answered and I didn't even say anything. I just flipped the camera onto the bong and he goes, no fucking way, dude, what? And I was like, bro, my mom's been using it. She kept it. And he's like, what the fuck? Austin's mom is cool. And I started laughing my ass off and we were all laughing about it. And it was just crazy, man. It was like a crazy conclusion to a story that was over for 5 years, right? It was just wild. And yeah, I ended up just, laughing about it with Jacob and her for like 10, 15 more minutes. And then after that, I hung up with him and I hung out with her for a little bit longer. And then I went home and let her keep my bong. And guess what? She still has it. Still at my house to this day. Probably still being used on and off. I don't know. She doesn't smoke every day or anything, but I'm sure whenever she does smoke, she uses it. But yeah, very, very funny. Very, very funny conclusion, in my opinion. Very, very funny ending to this story. And yeah, I thought you guys would all enjoy hearing about it. So if you guys enjoyed this story time, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I'll see you all later. Peace.
You won't let me be. Maybe outside, let me